Chris "Birdman" Anderson. Anderson was banned from the NBA on January 25, 2006 for violating the league's substance abuse policy. The ban was issued while Anderson was playing for the New Orleans Hornets. The NBA threw Anderson out of the league for drug use, specifically for violating the league's drug policy. The NBA's substance abuse policy at the time included a list of banned substances. The listed contraband includes the use of methamphetamine, cocaine, LSD, opiates such as heroin, codeine, morphine, and PCP. While the exact substance Anderson tested positive for was not officially disclosed, reports alleged it was cocaine. Anderson's ban was not permanent. He received a 2-year ban from the NBA in 2006 for violating the league's drug policy, but was reinstated on March 4, 2008. During his suspension, Anderson passed drug tests every 2 to 3 weeks during his suspension and cleaned his act up. The NBA's decision to approve Anderson's reinstatement after a 2-year suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy cleared the way for the 29-year-old forward to rejoin the Hornets for the regular season homestretch. Anderson went on to have a successful NBA career after his reinstatement. He returned to the Denver Nuggets later in 2008 and played there until 2012, averaging 5.5 points and 5.6 rebounds per game, while becoming known for his high-energy play, shot-blocking ability, and colorful tattoos that covered his arms and torso. His biggest success came when he signed with the Miami Heat in January 2013. Anderson became a crucial role player for the Heat during their championship run, providing veteran leadership and defensive presence off the bench. He played alongside LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh during Miami's 2013 NBA championship season. Anderson appeared in 75 games for the Heat that season, starting 2 games and averaging 3.6 points and 3 rebounds in 14 minutes per game. Anderson's comeback story became one of the most remarkable redemption arcs in NBA history. He transformed from a player kicked out of the league for substance abuse into a valued contributor on a championship team. Tyreke Evans. On May 17, 2019, the NBA announced that Tyreke Evans had been dismissed and disqualified from the league for violating the NBA-NBPA anti-drug program. The official language of dismissal and disqualification signified the league's harshest penalty, an automatic 2-year ban. This punishment is reserved only for players who test positive for what the league classifies as drugs of abuse, a separate and more serious category than substances like marijuana or performance-enhancing drugs. The league never disclosed the exact substance that was used. The suspension was not a typical disciplinary action. Under league rules, Evans was barred from all NBA and G League activity, meaning he couldn't sign with any team, attend team facilities, or participate in any official league functions. He was essentially exiled. To return to the NBA, Evans had to undergo a strict protocol outlined in the league's substance abuse and mental health program. This included mandatory drug treatment, consistent negative drug tests, and psychological evaluations overseen by independent doctors, approved by both the NBA and the Players' Union. Nearly 3 years later, on February 14, 2022, the NBA and NBPA jointly announced that Tyreke Evans had been reinstated. The league had determined that he had successfully met all reinstatement criteria. Just days later, Evans began the process of attempting a professional comeback, working out for NBA teams and signing a contract with the Wisconsin Herd, the G League affiliate of the Milwaukee Bucks. Despite showing flashes of his old self, Evans was unable to secure another NBA contract. He remained unsigned by any NBA team through the 2022-2023 season, and eventually looked overseas to continue his playing career. Tyreke Evans' fall from promising young star to league expulsion remains one of the more sobering examples of how substance abuse can derail even the most promising careers. Richard Dumas. He was supposed to be the next big thing in Phoenix. A second-round pick with first-round talent, Richard had the game, the bloodline, and the swagger. But before he could take his first official NBA dribble, the league had already closed the door. October 1991. Just weeks away from his rookie season debut, Dumas was suspended indefinitely by the NBA for violating its anti-drug policy. The bright lights of Phoenix faded fast. Instead of NBA arenas, he found himself in Israel, lighting up foreign courts for Hapoel Holon and dropping 21 points a night like nothing ever happened. When he finally returned in December of 1992, it felt like the wait had been worth it. He was electric, explosive, a breakout star in the making, but the excitement didn't last. By the fall of 1993, strike two. Dumas had violated his rehab program. He was sent back to treatment. The Suns washed their hands with him, and trade talks involving Dennis Rodman evaporated. He came back the next season, but the magic was gone. He played just 15 games, and then he failed another drug test. Afterwards, the Sixers gave him one last shot in 1995, and for a while, it looked like maybe, just maybe, he could hang on. But that hope collapsed when he violated a contract clause banning alcohol. This time, it wasn't cocaine, it wasn't marijuana, it was beer. Dumas would later admit he drank a six-pack before games trying to quiet his bipolar depression and ease his crippling social anxiety. Sixers coach John Lucas, a recovering addict himself, moved Dumas's drug test to 4 o'clock in the evening instead of the morning. It worked. He got caught. At just 26 years old, the NBA slammed the door shut for good. Dumas never applied for reinstatement, never asked for a second chance. He was done with the league, and maybe the league was done with him. He played overseas in Greece, Poland, and bounced through American minor leagues until retiring in 2003. His final NBA stat line, 102 games, 10.6 points per game. A career that once burned bright and then burned out. Donald Sterling, April 25, 2014, in Los Angeles. What started as an ordinary Friday afternoon would become one of the most explosive scandals in NBA history. TMZ released an audio recording that would destroy a man's empire in less than a week. The voice belonged to Donald Sterling, then owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. The conversation was with his mistress, V. Stiviano. On that recording, Sterling's racist rants were laid bare for the world to hear. He told her not to bring black people to Clippers games. He complained about her social media posts featuring black celebrities, including Magic Johnson. The words were vile, undeniable, and career-ending. 4 days later, April 29th, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stepped to the podium. The league had conducted its investigation. They confirmed Sterling's voice. They verified the authenticity of his statements. Sterling hadn't denied a thing. Silver's verdict was swift and merciless. Lifetime ban, $2.5 million fine. No appeals process for owners. No second chances for racist behavior that embarrassed the entire league. But Sterling's problems were just beginning. Silver didn't stop at the ban. He pushed for the NBA's Board of Governors to force the sale of the Clippers franchise. The board was ready to vote Sterling out when his wife Shelley intervened. She cut a deal with the league, bypassing her husband entirely. The buyer, former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer. The price, $2 billion. A California court approved the sale in August 2014. Donald Sterling's 33-year reign as owner was over. The man who bought the team for $12.5 million in 1981 walked away with a massive financial windfall, but his reputation was in ruins. He tried suing the league for $1 billion, claiming his rights were violated. The lawsuit was dismissed in 2016, and Sterling was ordered to pay nearly $5 million in legal fees. The public reaction had been immediate and devastating. Players turned their warm-up jerseys inside out in protest. LeBron James, Chris Paul, and Doc Rivers spoke out against him. Even President Obama condemned Sterling's comments. Civil rights groups pulled awards they had planned to give him. Since 2014, Sterling has maintained a low profile, focusing on real estate investments. At 90 years old, his NBA chapter is permanently closed. The lifetime ban meant exactly what it said, for life. Eddie Johnson Jr. He was born February 24, 1955, and his story represents one of the NBA's most tragic falls from grace. Johnson was drafted 49th overall by the Atlanta Hawks in 1977 after a standout college career at Auburn University, where he led the SEC in scoring as a freshman with 21.8 points per game. Johnson's problems with cocaine became apparent during his career with Atlanta. He was eventually taken off the Hawks' suspended list on November 21, 1981, indicating earlier disciplinary issues related to his drug use. Despite his talent and all-star appearances, his addiction continued to escalate. Johnson received a lifetime suspension from the NBA in 1987 for his cocaine use. Unlike temporary suspensions for drug violations, this ban was permanent. The league had implemented strict drug policies during the 1980s cocaine epidemic that was destroying multiple NBA careers, and Johnson became one of its most prominent casualties. Johnson's life continued to spiral out of control following his banishment from the NBA. His struggles extended far beyond basketball, leading to numerous legal troubles. Johnson was 53 when he received a mandatory life sentence in 2008 after being found guilty of sexual assault on an 8-year-old girl. Former NBA All-Star Eddie Johnson died October 26, 2020, while serving a life sentence at Santa Rosa Correctional Institution in Milton, Florida, at age 65. His death marked the end of a cautionary tale about how addiction and poor choices destroyed what had been a promising NBA career. O.J. Mayo. Mayo was disqualified from the NBA in July 2016 for violating the league's anti-drug program. The announcement came as a sudden shock rather than a gradual career decline. This wasn't a standard suspension. Mayo received a complete 2-year ban that prevented him from signing with any NBA team until July 1, 2018. Mayo had previous encounters with the NBA's drug policy. In 2011, while playing for the Memphis Grizzlies, he was suspended for 10 games after testing positive for DHEA, a performance-enhancing substance. Mayo attributed that violation to consuming an energy drink that contained the banned hormone. The 2016 violation was categorized differently and carried severe consequences. Mayo tested positive for what the NBA classifies as a drug of abuse, rather than a performance-enhancing substance. The league's drugs of abuse list includes cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, LSD, opiates, and PCP. A positive test for any substance on this list triggers automatic dismissal, even for first-time offenders. Mayo wasn't under contract when the ban was announced. His deal with the Milwaukee Bucks had expired after the 2015-16 season, during which he played only 41 games and averaged 7.8 points per game. His season was cut short after he broke his ankle in a freak accident, tripping on stairs. The NBA doesn't publicly reveal which specific substance triggered the ban, but Mayo later provided details in interviews. He admitted to abusing prescription painkillers, which fall under the league's drugs of abuse category. Mayo acknowledged this medication caused his positive test. He denied using hardcore drugs like cocaine, though he admitted to previously smoking marijuana, which he said wasn't the cause of his dismissal. The financial impact of Mayo's ban was substantial. At 28 years old, he potentially lost between $30 and $40 million in future NBA earnings. His career trajectory had already been declining, but the ban eliminated any chance of recovery within the league. Mayo described hitting rock bottom after the announcement. He avoided watching NBA games because they reminded him of his lost career. The public reaction mixed support from some former teammates with widespread shock throughout the basketball community. Players banned for substance abuse can apply for reinstatement after serving their 2-year penalty. The NBA and National Basketball Players Association jointly control this process, and reinstatement isn't guaranteed. Mayo reportedly applied for and received reinstatement in 2018, but no NBA team offered him a contract. Since his ban, Mayo has played professionally overseas in China, Taiwan, Puerto Rico, and Egypt. At this age, his chances of returning to the NBA have become virtually non-existent. Jontae Porter. Porter received a lifetime ban from the NBA on April 17, 2024, for violating the league's gambling rules. The investigation began in March 2024 when the NBA detected suspicious betting activity connected to Porter's on-court performance. He was immediately removed from team activities and banned permanently within weeks. Porter's violations involved multiple serious breaches of NBA policy. He shared confidential health and injury information with known gamblers, allowing them to place informed bets on his statistical performance. Porter also deliberately underperformed in games by removing himself early, ensuring that bets placed on the under for his statistics would be successful. The NBA's investigation revealed specific instances of manipulation. Before a March 2024 game, Porter provided inside information to a gambler who attempted to place an $80,000 parlay bet that would have paid out over $1 million. This massive payout was frozen when suspicious betting patterns were detected. In a January game, Porter left early claiming an eye injury, coinciding with another spike in betting activity on his statistical underperformances. Porter also violated league rules by placing bets on NBA games himself. While under contract with the Toronto Raptors, he placed at least 13 bets on various NBA games. 3 of these bets were against his own team, the Raptors. although none of these bets involved games in which he personally played. NBA rules strictly prohibit any player from gambling on league games, regardless of their participation. The legal consequences extended beyond the NBA ban. On July 3, 2024, federal prosecutors filed criminal charges against Porter. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud on July 10, 2024. This federal crime carries a potential prison sentence of 3 to 4 years. Porter's legal team requested that his bond conditions be modified to allow him to play professional basketball in Greece while awaiting sentencing. But the judge denied this request. At the time of his ban, Porter was 24 years old and had appeared in 26 games during the 2023-24 season. He was averaging 4.4 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game. Porter was considered a fringe NBA player, struggling to establish himself in the league. The Toronto Raptors organization supported the NBA's decision and disciplinary process. The National Basketball Players Association also released a statement emphasizing that players need better education about sports betting regulations and their potential consequences. Unlike drug-related suspensions, gambling violations in the NBA carry permanent consequences. The league's gambling ban rules are described as final and unappealable, meaning Porter has no pathway to reinstatement. There is no waiting period after which he can apply to return to the league. Porter's legal troubles have also prevented him from pursuing overseas basketball opportunities. As of April 2024, a federal judge blocked his ability to play professional basketball internationally while his criminal case remains pending. Porter's basketball career has been completely terminated due to his gambling violations and the resulting criminal charges. Connie Hawkins. Hawkins was banned from the NBA before he ever played a professional game, based solely on his association with known gambler Jack Molinas. The ban originated from a college basketball point shaving scandal that broke in 1961, when Hawkins was just 19 years old and had completed his freshman season at the University of Iowa. Hawkins' connection to the scandal was minimal but enough to trigger league action. He had accepted $200 to $250 from Jack Molinas during his first year at Iowa, which his brother later repaid before the scandal became public. Hawkins was never charged with any crime, never accused of fixing games or shaving points, and was never arrested. However, as a teenager, he was questioned by the FBI without legal representation. The NBA's response was swift and harsh. He was formally banned from the league in 1966, though the ban was effectively in place from 1961. The league provided no hearing, presented no evidence of wrongdoing, and offered no appeals process. The ban was based entirely on guilt by association. Hawkins knew Molinas, and that connection alone was deemed sufficient grounds for exclusion. With the NBA closed to him, Hawkins was forced to find alternative basketball opportunities. He initially signed with the Pittsburgh Wrens of the American Basketball League, where he won the league's Most Valuable Player award. When that league folded, he joined the Harlem Globetrotters for 3 seasons, entertaining crowds worldwide but competing in exhibition games rather than serious professional basketball. The formation of the American Basketball Association in 1967 provided Hawkins with his first opportunity for legitimate professional competition. Playing for the Pittsburgh Pipers, he dominated the league, averaging 28.2 points and 12.6 rebounds per game over 2 ABA seasons. He won the ABA's Most Valuable Player award and led the Pipers to the championship in 1968. In 1966, Hawkins filed a $6 million federal antitrust lawsuit against the NBA, challenging the ban as a violation of his civil rights. The legal battle lasted 3 years. In 1969, the NBA settled the lawsuit, paying Hawkins $1.3 million and lifting the ban. The settlement amount was approximately $11.1 million in today's currency. The Phoenix Suns won a coin toss over the Seattle Supersonics for Hawkins' NBA rights. At age 27, he finally entered the NBA as a rookie for the 1969-70 season, averaging 24.6 points and 9.1 rebounds per game. He made the All-Star team in each of his first 4 NBA seasons and was second in Most Valuable Player voting during his rookie year. Hawkins played 7 seasons in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Lakers, and Atlanta Hawks before retiring in 1976. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 1992. Hawkins passed away in 2017 at age 75. The ban cost Hawkins his prime athletic years, from age 19 to 27. Unlike other NBA bans that followed conviction or clear rule violations, Hawkins' exclusion was based on association and suspicion rather than proven misconduct. His successful lawsuit established legal precedent for challenging league disciplinary actions and demonstrated the arbitrary nature of the original ban. Being banned from the NBA is one thing, but there are players who should have been banned from society. Click the video on the scene to watch every NBA player who turned evil after retiring.